When I was 18, my mother took me to a fortune teller. 3 out of 7 prophecies of his already came true. Posted by Mr. Feature _1. Just a little background. I originally come from Ukraine, and I travel a lot all my life. I studied and lived in England from 12 until 21 years old, and now I'm working in Belgium. My mother knew this fortune teller who was known to diagnose diseases just by holding your hand, as well as predict your future, at least key events. My mother was worried about my future since I had so many opportunities that she took me to see this guy. I had exams coming up, and it was a good way to both distract myself and learn something new. The guy made a total of 7 predictions. I will first mention the ones that happen, and then the rest that is yet to be. Just to let you know, this guy lives in a tiny village and never traveled outside of it, nor does he have access to the internet. Anyway, here goes. I would get 82% in my exams. He guessed the exact percent. I was doing well in my studies at all, and I only started studying properly in the last months. He put his hand on my forehead and immediately said I shouldn't worry, as I will get 82%, which is what I need to get into a university I wanted. That came true, and I went to university. 2, I have problems with my liver. I was a very healthy kid and did a lot of sports semi-professionally. In my school at 18 years old, I was in a football, rowing, and tennis team. I barely drank and ate properly and had a very healthy body composition. After he said I have problems with my liver, we went to a doctor, and guess what? I had an enlarged and hardened liver. Doctors had no idea what caused it. And to make it normal, I had to do a special diet for 2 months. After that, it all went back to normal. 3, I would travel to Finland to work at 23 years old, but not before then. I had a business trip to Estonia and Finland last December. And guess what? I literally traveled to Finland the day before I turned 24. I had no control over booking the tickets or scheduling this business trip. My management sent me on this mission. I have never been to Finland nor any Nordic countries ever. 4, at 28, I will have 1,000 employees under my management. Hasn't happened yet. I am currently trying to work myself up to become a project manager, but still not sure if it is possible for this to happen. Right now I manage around 30 employees, so it's a big jump to 1,000, but we'll see. 5, in my entire life, I will travel to Russia only twice. Hasn't happened yet. Due to a political climate between Ukraine and Russia, I haven't traveled to Russia ever yet, although I do want to visit badly. 6, I will marry a blonde woman and will have 2 daughters. Hasn't happened yet. It was always a dream of mine to have daughters, not sons. I can't explain why, just always wanted to. I have mostly females in my family, loads of sisters, aunts, and grandmas. So let's see. 7, I will move and live in Finland for most of my life. Might happen soon. This is quite unbelievable. He said that when he concentrated on my future, he saw the word Suomi around me a lot. At the time, none of us knew what it was. He also said that I would live and probably die in Finland. When I came home and Googled what Suomi is, it turned out to be a language spoken in Finland. And as for working there, when I had a business trip, I made some connections with other colleagues who invited me for some potential working position. So I might end up moving there sooner rather than later. So that's that. He predicted a lot of things, like prostate cancer in an early stage for my dad's friend, which saved his life, as well as healing my grandma's depression by one 15-minute talking session. I don't know if there is anything to this guy, but it's sure not just accidents. Daughter, 2.5 years old, talks about seeing things in the mirror. Help, posted by anonymous redditor. I posted this in a parenting thread and got some ideas. Mostly get rid of the mirror, which isn't possible, cover it, which seems like not enough, if there's something bad, or leave, which is also not an option. Maybe priest? I don't know. Long story short, my daughter, 2 years old when this started, talks about seeing things in the mirror in her room. At first, we figured it was just make-believe, but then it got a little weirder. I'll share some of the details below, but my question is, what is the best way to deal with this? Details. One day, she was in her crib, which is right by a wall that is mostly mirror. 2 mirror doors on a sliding closet. She pointed at the mirror and asked me, "Do you see the doggy, Daddy?" I was confused. I asked her if she meant her stuffed dog, one of a few different stuffed animals, but it was not currently in sight. She insisted, "No, in the mirror," and kept pointing as though a dog was sitting right by the mirror or inside it. At the time, we used to turn on red lights as a nightlight for her, and she said, "He likes the red lights." And in her garbled way, she also said, "He comes and sits when you go away." Now, we read to her a lot, but she doesn't watch much in terms of videos or TV. She speaks well for her age, but she doesn't generally make up stories. I was a little spooked, but she didn't seem to be afraid, so we put her to bed normally and went about our night. I mentioned it to my wife, but we didn't think too much of it. About an hour after she fell asleep, she woke up screaming. Pretty unusual. Not just crying, but screaming and very distressed. "No, no, no," she seemed to be saying. We watched in the monitor for a moment, wondering if we go in, and then my wife gasped, and my heart skipped a beat because we saw something. It looked like 2 white lights chasing each other through the air. My wife later said she thought someone was in the room, that she saw a foot. We bolted in there and turned on the lights. My daughter was crying uncontrollably, and when she calmed down, she wouldn't say anything, but she looked traumatized, just staring at the wall. We moved her crib into our room for the night and felt disturbed. I've thought about it a lot, and I can't figure out how those lights could have appeared in the room the way they did. We've seen dust floating and glowing, but this was very different. The next day I asked her about it and she said, "It was a wolf." I have no idea where she got the idea of a wolf from. There's nothing like that in the books we read to her. Then she said, "The little one was there and the big wolf came and they fought." She had never said anything like this before, especially about fighting. We couldn't get anything else out of her about it. She never brought it up again. However, she has mentioned a few times that there's a man in the mirror. She said, "He talks to me a lot." She also often insists on showing things to the mirror. Once, we put her in a new dress and she said, "I have to show the mirror." So I held her up to the bathroom mirror. But she insisted this mirror wasn't what she wanted. She wanted to show the mirror in her room. Once she found an ornament of a little dog and said, "I show this to the mirror," and ran into the room. And she came right back out and said, "No dogs. The mirror says no dogs." Last night, she was calling us after we put her down and asking us to protect her. Just casually saying without fear, "Mommy, Daddy, protect me." So we came in and asked what she meant. And she said, "There's a lion," and pointed to the mirror. So we sort of played along and shooed it away, which made her smile and get back into bed. It was now a toddler bed. She'd been in for a few weeks. I was a bit on edge because of the dog thing in the past is a precursor to weirdness. Anyhow, I'm up working. The wife goes to bed. An hour later, I hear a thump and my daughter starts crying loudly. I rush in and she had fallen out of her bed. Maybe just a coincidence, but she had not fallen out before. Today, I asked her if we should cover the mirror with a curtain. She said, yes, that it's scary sometimes. She said she saw a monster, but then she said, we can open the curtain sometimes to say hello. I asked her, who would we say hello to? She said, Mr. Wolf. She seems not to be scared of Mr. Wolf, but she also said, he's not nice. This post is longer than I intended. If this is not the right thread, I'd appreciate being pointed to somewhere else or some resources for approaching this strange subject. Thanks. Summoning the Ghost of Bloody Mary. Posted by One Escape Velocity 1. So this happened 16 years ago. I was in middle school, and during the reading time, I found an old tattered-looking book on one of the shelves. It was an esoteric book that talked about ghosts and ghouls and other weird things. I focused my attention on one of the chapters entitled Bloody Mary. This is the name for the arguably evil Queen Mary I of England, who had over 280 religious dissenters burned at the stake. This chapter gave directions on how to summon the ghost of Bloody Mary. The book said it would have to be at night, in front of a mirror, and you would have to chant the words Bloody Mary between 50 to 100 times for the ghost to appear. Simple enough, and the book even showed an image of what she might look like. Anyways, fast forward a few weeks, and I'm now at a giant cookout at an old rural Massachusetts home with many kids my age, around the ages of 7 to 16. I, with all the confidence and courage of a boy just hitting puberty, decided to tell the group of them about how to summon this ghost. Everyone was actually excited and decided to follow me into this horror. I and about 10 other kids found a giant full-length mirror in this dank basement for us to all sit in front of on chairs and do this experiment. It was perfect. Being still a little scared, I got my dad to do this with us the first time, and he wasn't taking it seriously at all. At 9:30 p.m., we started our first try while my dad was joking around at first. No dice. It was still a little light out, and we chanted Bloody Mary, but nothing happened. Not discouraged, we all decided to try it again at 12:30 p.m. This time it was pitch dark in the room, and my dad wasn't there to change the atmosphere. We were fucking serious, and it was a bit creepy as we all started chanting Bloody Mary. Imagine a bunch of kids chanting this. All was silent outside, and inside as we rhythmically went on. Spellbinding. By about the 75 times we said the words, something happened. There was an eerie white shimmer at the center of the mirror, spaced out horizontally a few feet. We went on 5 more times, 10. Then, with the speed of lightning, a ghostly face zoomed into the center of the mirror, facing us all. The face was pure white light, bald, and had huge dark spaces where the eyes should be. The slits of the nose and opening of the mouth also black. Bloody Mary stared menacingly at us all. A bunch of little kids just performed a fucking seance. As soon as she appeared, we all screamed at the top of our lungs and booked it haphazardly up the stairs to turn the lights on. All of us were shaken, but we all talked amongst each other, verifying that we all saw the same thing. Ghosts exist, people, and still to this day I sometimes get a little creeped out at night in front of mirrors. My very first memory, posted by, like whatever. This is a story of my very first memory. I've been downvoted when I told this story in a thread about people's first memories, so I know this is hard to believe. I remember watching my life happening in front of my eyes, but it was as if being fast-forwarded. I had this feeling that I was not in control. I was watching through my eyes, but at a distance, and goes on for maybe 10 seconds. Then all of a sudden, I feel like I'm being sucked into my physical body, a whoosh feeling, and boom, time is set to its current pace, and I'm finally able to control my movements, my arms, legs, etc. I very specifically remember thinking to myself, oh, I can move now. If I had to guess, I must have been around 3 to 4 years old when I was finally in control. I've told this story to multiple people and nobody else remembers something like this. Maybe I'm just remembering the moment of being born, but was just wondering if anyone has heard of this or can tell me what it was.